Hi, I'm Jazze Maxie, and I'm here at Abounding Prosperity with the CEO of Abounding Prosperity and Dallas Southern Pride, Kirk Myers. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for taking the time out to always support our efforts here in the community.
Yeah, so here at Abounding Prosperity, you guys provide so many different resources for the LGBTQ community. You are a leader in the LGBTQ community, and recently you sent out a press release inviting the rapper DaBaby to come here to tour the facilities and have a conversation. Why did you feel the need to do that?
Correct. We did send out the press release, and so when I was reviewing what was said and all of those things, it struck me as, well, these are things as a 53-year-old gay man living with HIV that I've heard a lot of brothers, uncles, cousins, even my father have those same type of views at one point or the other. And so I thought, this could be an opportunity. And my very first thing was that this is an opportunity, especially with us being right here in the heart of a major urban area. Those are probably shared views that we thought it's important to be able to address the underlying issues of where those views come from. And so we did the press release and thought that that was the way to handle it versus just canceling without having a chance to educate.
Right. Since you focus on the African American LGBTQ community, why is it important for you to reach out to DaBaby knowing that he's an African American man and people are treating him this way for comments that he made, and you feel he shouldn't be canceled, he should be educated?
Well, again, like a lot of people similarly situated as DaBaby, again, we're over here on MLK, and not only are we an LGBTQ serving organization, we serve black people, period. With HIV, black people are disproportionately impacted by HIV, not only here in Dallas, but nationally. So it was a lot of intersections that we thought needed to be discussed. And again, people are products of their environment. And when I've said that, people have said, hey, well, Kirk, that doesn't excuse the behaviors. And I said, well, when people know better, they do better. And then somebody said, well, he knows better. And I said, well, you can't presume that he knows that people aren't dying with HIV within 2 to 3 weeks. And so, again, because that's what he said. But for us, I think it further stigmatizes HIV. It kind of reinforced that HIV was a gay disease and all of these things that we just know simply aren't true. I mean, right now, black women are leading not only here in Dallas, but in the nation. And so again, as an organization that has started out serving black gay men in the LGBTQ community, we have been embraced by the entire community. And again, as you walked in, there was a heterosexual couple here accessing services. I mean, literally. And, we have the pharmacy right here. And so we just thought, again, to be able to invite him here in an urban setting would have more of an impact if he could see people that looks like himself, versus some of these other organizations, I saw that there were other invites and offers that came after ours, but I don't necessarily know if that may be the right place for him to go and get a tour and education and be able to ask questions in a safe way. Because we have to create safe environments. In one of the backdrops of people being able to come here and access services is because they feel safe. And I think we should continue to live up to our mission and create these safe spaces for people to find out what they don't know or even expose them to other views that are different than theirs.
Absolutely. So exactly what did he say that offended you and your friends? Like, what part of what he said just really struck a chord with you?
Well, there were several things, and I'm not going to go into all of those, but those that relate to HIV, again, dying within 2 to 3 weeks, those sort of things. But that, for me, was the crux of the invite. Again, and I want to make sure that I'm clear that as an HIV prevention organization, and as an organization that not only treats people living with HIV, I myself am living with HIV, then it was just the misinformation. And so the other stuff obviously can be talked about. But in the context of HIV prevention framework, those views and those thoughts set us back, because then too, I started thinking about even risk, how people see risk and how they see themselves at risk. Because again, a lot of hip hop music, and I'm treading on water, as it glorifies a lot of sex and sexual activity and all those things, and violence too. But more about the sex if we're talking about HIV prevention. And so I thought this was just an opportunity to, instead of counseling someone, to have an ally more so than counseling.
Right. And I think that's really great that you reached out to him. So if DaBaby was here with us right now, what would you say to him?
Well, one of the first things I would do before I would say anything is just give him a tour and explain what we do. And I think in doing that, then that would allow for the natural progression of questions, hopefully. Because again, I think that what happens with the counsel culture is then people become defensive, and then there's not an opportunity. And so I think that whatever was attempting to be conveyed is lost.
It's backfiring.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't start with anything other than, again, giving the gentleman a tour, talking about what we do. Then you can tell by how one responds if they are genuinely interested, or if he's genuinely remorseful, or any of those things, and then be able to guide the conversation based on reaction. Because again, that's something that we have to do on a daily basis. We're constantly having to have conversations with individuals that have misinformation about how HIV is transmitted, people who gets it and who doesn't, and perceptions of risk and all those sort of things. So I think I would really start just with, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is who we serve. Yeah,
because honestly, you guys do a lot for the African American community. You just had the big Juneteenth event. You had Lil' Kim come. You had Rick Ross come, B. King, Young and May. Just so many different artists came down and performed. And so you are living in the hip hop community.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
This is DaBaby's lane.
Well, and one of the things that, and thank you for bringing it up, we did just have Juneteenth, and we work very closely with Dallas Southern Pride. We have what we call a testing for ticket initiatives, where people that may not would ordinarily test would test for a ticket to see a Rick Ross or Lil' Kim or Cardi B. All of these are people that have been here. Now, speaking of Rick Ross, I think that, again, talking about DaBaby, those are opportunities.
Absolutely.
There's so much intersectionality between hip hop and LGBTQ culture, specifically Black LGBTQ culture, and I think that there are just so many opportunities to educate and to change hearts and minds. And so that's what, again, we do on a daily basis, and we wanted to be able to continue to do that.
And I'm glad that you did the testing for tickets, because I did get tested when you did the testing for tickets.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So I'm glad that I know my status. And it was private. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. So, and it was free. Good. So that's the main thing. It's like, hey, I can go get this free HIV test. So I think that you guys are doing wonderful things here in the Dallas community. And I think it's great that you are reaching out to DaBaby instead of canceling him. Because as a Black man, we shouldn't be canceling each other. We should give each other opportunities to grow and learn.
There's certainly not enough of us to be counseling anybody.
Okay.
So we and I believe that charity starts at home and all those things. And so I think that, again, our invitation was certainly genuine. And because of, again, working very closely with a Black Pride as well, then it just made all the sense in the world to at least reach out. Now, whether he accepts or not, that's a different thing. But I think what we wanted to display is what we do every day. And so when we posted the press release on our social media, surprisingly, we got a lot of positive responses. So I think that, again, this was a Black man, maybe more than not talking about Black people. And I think it's incumbent upon Black people to address the issues at hand, because, again, I'm sure he's not alone in his thoughts. And so it doesn't mean that any other group or community can't address it, but I didn't see any Black gay men coming out in any of this strongly having opinions. It was, again, the Elton Johns and Madonna, even Miley Cyrus, and so the only Black response was from T.I. and some of the other folks. I think the other guy, I can't remember his name now, he did have a positive response.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't any black LGBTQ folks
Right.
coming out saying, hey, this is an opportunity for us to further the work that a lot of us are charged,
That are
like myself,
already
are charged with doing. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you for having this conversation with me, and hopefully DaBaby will reach out.
You are welcome. You are welcome to DaBaby. Again, we love to show you around in an area probably very similar to Charlotte, North Carolina, where you grew up and where you're from, and again with similar HIV rates. And so we welcome you to come here and view and have a conversation with us.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It was needed, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.